and I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a brand new live edition of Foul Territory. I'm pinch hitting for Scott Braun. My name is Alanna Rizzo, along with AJ Pierzynski and Erik Kratz. Great to be with you guys. We have a big show today, so let's get to it, gentlemen. Good to be with you as always. Time to charge the mound.
He's charging the mound.
All right, lots to get to. Let's start with the fact that Eugenio Suarez finally has a home. It looks like he's going back to the Cincinnati Reds on what looks to be a one-year, $15 million deal. Looks like he's going to primarily be the DH. Will play some third a little bit. But one of the hottest free agents, in my opinion. Took a long time to get him there, but he has a home now. What do you make of it?
Only 1 year? No, there's no other teams that could have taken Eugenio Suarez on for $15 million for 1 year? I mean, I know he was already in Cincinnati. It's a great place to hit, but I'm just shocked that this was it. Like, this is where he ended up on a 1 year deal. I mean, I look at a team, and I'm going to say this, the Yankees, the Red Sox, they couldn't take Geno Suarez on a 1 year, $15 million deal. Even the Mariners couldn't take him back on a 1 year, $15 million deal. There's some teams out there that are close to competing that could have used this guy for 1 year. I mean, I look at the Braves. If he's going to DH, the Braves, that'd be a good spot for him. And if Austin Riley, Matt Olson needs a day off, that's a good DH because they don't have Ozuna anymore. So I'm just shocked he ended up in Cincinnati. Now it's a ballpark factor, a familiarity thing. I get that. But good for the Reds, man. The Reds should be stoked about this.
I mean, the Reds have gotten a lot better, Erik. And he hit, 49 bombs last year, I believe, and Eugenio Suarez hit. I mean, that's a guy I thought was going to be scooped up a lot sooner than he was. Why do you think it took so long, and why do you think Cincinnati was ultimately the destination?
I don't know. I hope when we bring Jim on that I can ask him what he said last week. He said, I asked a GM, big league GM, earlier in the offseason, well, why is nobody getting any interest? Why is Eugenio Suarez not getting any interest? And he said, did you see what he got at the trade deadline? You know, I'm like, what is that? What, like, just because teams weren't on him at the trade deadline, all of a sudden, like, he's just completely viewed as somebody that's not valuable to a team? I've never heard anything bad about his clubhouse presence. He has not just 50 home run potential. He will hit 50 home runs because he has in his career. Will he this year? I don't know. Nobody knows that. Like, you don't have a crystal ball, but for $15 million, the Red got 40-plus home runs. In my opinion, he's going to hit 40-plus home runs in a lineup that maybe they all automatically get better because they have a dude in the lineup that's not going to allow you to get away with mistakes. And anybody that says, like, for $15 million, like, how do you not just add? I don't care what the price is. He had 52 home runs, including the postseason. Did he slide down the stretch? Absolutely. He didn't do great. Did he hit one of the biggest grand slams, maybe the only grand slam, I'm not sure, in Mariners postseason history? Yes. Like, this is a guy that you can insert in your lineup immediately, no matter where it is.
And especially at Great American, I can certainly see him hitting over 50 bombs. I mean, that's a heck of a hitter's park, as you guys know better than anybody. And then, again, it's just $15 million $15 million to us is a lot of money. But for what he's going to give in terms of an impact in that lineup, you can't tell me that the Red Sox can't spend $15 million, especially if he's going to primarily be a DH. Masataka Yoshida was the Red Sox DH last year. Not anything against Yoshida. But that is not who I want as a DH if I'm the Red Sox. How does he not go to a bigger market team, AJ?
I just asked that question, Alanna. I don't understand this one. And also, here's my other thing. I've had many GMs, and asked Jim Bowden this. There is no such thing as a bad 1 year deal for anybody, no matter how much. If it's 1 year, $100 million, it's not a bad idea in a 1 year deal because you can always cut ties and move on if you're an organization. So, listen, to say that he's a bad clubhouse guy doesn't work. To say that he's a bad defender, okay, he's not Brian Hayes, but he's good enough. He's serviceable. He strikes out too much. Okay, everyone strikes out too much. He also runs into 40 homers every year Every time you see him, he's got a smile on his face. He can play in pressure. He proved that he can play under pressure. Listen, congratulations, Cincinnati Red fans. This is one of those moves that you should be super proud about. The other teams, I don't know.
Apparently, the Red Sox never even made an offer to Suarez, you guys. At the beginning of the offseason, it seemed like a decent backup plan for them. Of course, if they didn't land Alex Bregman, which they didn't because he went to the Cubs, and you can't tell me that they don't have the money. They got rid of $200+ million when they, for whatever reason, decided to let Rafael Devers go to the San Francisco Giants in the second year of what was a 10-year deal. So they have the money. They didn't know if Bregman was going to come back. They didn't even make him an offer. And Jason Mackey, who does a great job covering the Pittsburgh Pirates, was told that the Buccos offered the same AAV on Eugenio Suarez. They were willing to go higher as well as add another year. Sounds like his choice came down to a better ballpark fit, as AJ said, familiarity, as he said as well, and a chance to cash in next year with the big season. I mean, that's the thing now, right? Some of these guys, if they wait forever or they have to wait forever to sign, let's just do a 1-year deal and then re-enter the free agency market again, Erik, after the deal.
Yeah, I mean, and owners, teams, they love this. Good. Go get your money from somebody else. We'll take you for 1 year. Teams love the 1-year deal. Teams love it. And for the Pirates, I'm sad. I'm sad that they did not get this done. I'm sad that there is a collusion in the league that a player that has 49 home runs gets the exact same offer from multiple teams. I'm sad for the fact that they don't see what a great clubhouse guy and how hard it is to hit 49 home runs and what kind of value that brings to a team who has playoff aspirations. Beginning of the offseason, I did not believe the Pirates had playoff aspirations. I do now. I think they really do. And I have a hard time believing they're going to find 30 home runs at third base and to replace Eugenio Suarez. And maybe he doesn't have a great year. Maybe Pirate fans will say, see, we shouldn't have signed him. I'm just sad that teams won't put this extra money in to take that extra mile, because I know as a player, you put everything you have into this season, and I can see it in Paul Skeens. You see it in the way he interacts, the way he's like, we just have to be better. He's all about winning. The different guys that they already got in there, Eugenio would be incredible to add to that lineup, because this is the list of guys that last year in Major League Baseball hit more home runs than him. Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Kyle Schwarber, and obviously Cal Raleigh.
Raleigh, yeah. That's insane. So that begs the question, why did the Mariners let him go?
We don't know. But here's my thing. If we're talking Pirates, okay, we've had this conversation. Pittsburgh Pirates do not have a great reputation as far as A, winning, B, signing guys, keeping them, whatever you want. The reputation amongst players and fans, and I think people in general, is that the Pirates aren't really, as much as we want them to try, yes, even though they got Ryan O'Hearn and they went out and made some moves that we all like, we really don't believe it. So we've had this conversation. If they're really interested in Eugenio Suarez, right, like, you have to go above and beyond. Now, they said they'd go above the 1 year 15. Is that 1 year 16? They're like, hey, you know what, Gino, we'll give you 1 year 16 to come to Pittsburgh, right? Like, you have to, like, they're like, oh, a 2 year deal, but it was probably with an opt out. And it was probably like a 230 or something like that, right? So he was looking at it like, well, I can get 115 from a place I know I can go and hit 40 again. I've been there before. I played there before. They made the playoffs last year. People forget the Reds were in the postseason. Now, they got stomped by the Dodgers in 2 games, but they were in the postseason last year. Okay, so everyone's looking at the Cincinnati Reds as, hey, this team is only going up. You add Suarez to the mix. They've made some other smaller moves that they think are going to help. Another year of Ellie at short, another year of all these other guys in the field, and another year of the pitchers. I don't know if it's going to work out, but if you're the Pirates, if I'm a Pirates fan, at some point you just know you have to go above and beyond. And right now they're trying to get away with it by just saying we tried. And yes, Ryan O'Hearn, nice addition. Brandon Lau trade, great. Some of the things they've done have been good, but if you want to get a guy like Eugenio Suarez who wants to win and he wants to get paid, you got to go above and beyond, and the Pirates just aren't doing that. That's why the Kyle Schwarber thing, when they're like, oh, the Pirates were in. Yeah, they were in for less than he got in Philly. So cool, they were in, but they were never real players.
Yeah, they needed to go harder on Suarez, and they definitely need to re-sign Andrew McCutchen. I don't know what.
Here's the thing, Alanna. If they go, and I'll ask Kratz this, if they go to Eugenio Suarez and say, you know what, we'll give you 240, think he's turning it down?
No.
Absolutely. But if they go, hey, here's 228 or 230, whatever, he's like, well, I'll take my 1 year in Cincinnati, a place I know and have been there, and then I'll go back on the free agent market, and I'll probably get 15 or more next year, and I can pick where I want to go, and I'm not stuck in a place I don't know and are they serious? So you got to go above and beyond, and you got to blow everybody else out of the water.
Look at the projected lineup for the Reds now with Suarez in it, you guys. Some good protection. It's a decent lineup. I mean, TJ Friedel, obviously, Marte, Ellie De La Cruz. We know how much of an impact player he is, how much fun he is to watch. Suarez as the DH in the cleanup spot. I mean, that's where you would expect him to be, right? I mean, a knock on his defense, I guess, but that's exactly where you want him. If you're going to sign him, Stewart, Tyler Stevenson, JJ Bleday, Matt McClain, who I love, and Cabrian Hayes. That's a decent starting lineup for this. I mean, the projected lineup for the Cincinnati Reds.
I mean, the Cincinnati potentials, massive potential there. Massive potential up and down through that lineup. But the reason I laughed when you were reading that lineup is because a team just added on January, what was that? January 31st or February 1st, they added a cleanup hitter. A cleanup hitter in their lineup. Mm-hmm. He's going to hit cleanup for a lot of teams. They added him for 1 year, $15 million. Crap. Like, that's not good for players. That's not good for player salary. That's not good for teams that need a right-handed bat in a right-handed friendly park that they did not pick him up. If they have desire of winning and dominating the league that they're in.
Who's to say now at Great American? I mean, I know half of the games are on the road. I can appreciate that. But at Great American, he might hit 60 bombs. I mean, total in the year.
It's a pitcher's park now. It's a pitcher's park now. The numbers will show it. I'm like, what? They haven't moved the fences in.
It is? I didn't know that. I thought Great American was Great American Small Park. How is it?
That's what the numbers say.
Okay.
Last year.
Okay. Sure. Well, anyway. Good on him. I hope he has a heck of a year, and I hope he tests free agency after this year and gets $1 gazillion. Don't forget to check out Riverfront Territory with C. Trent Rosecrans and Danny Graves on YouTube and wherever you listen to your pods. Our first guest is ready. Let's get to our resident GM, Jim Bowden. All right, Jim, great to be with you as always. Loving the getup, my friend. I always love coming on here to see what you're wearing on that particular day. You have a new podcast to talk about. It is the newest show on the Foul Territory Network. It's called GM Territory. It's something you've been working on. Proud to talk about it. Tell us more.
Yeah, Alanna, really excited to join the Foul Territory channel lineup for sure. You know, I think the GM's voice in the game deserves once a week, right? Players get 5 days a week. They deserve that. We deserve at least 1 day because, you know, GMs and front office, we probably view the game a little bit differently than most people. So this show is going to be a lot about roster building, contracts, scouting and evaluation, player development, analytics, research and development, science, the legal part, medical part, PR, the collective bargaining agreement. It's really just from a front office angle. And as you guys know, it comes unfiltered. It comes completely transparent. But I think that kind of angle deserves a watch once a week. And so, yeah, my son Trey and I are very excited about doing this weekly show. The first episode dropped today. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And one thing, you know, I always remind people, right? There's only 60 people in Major League Baseball that has full access to all the information, right? It's just the president and the GM. And everybody else that's involved in the game, all their opinions, all the information, all flows directly to those two guys, right? Whether it be the manager, the coaches, player development, research and development, the scouting departments, whoever's involved in the sport, it all goes to those two guys. And of course, the owner also has access, but they're not looking on a daily basis. So I just thought it was very important to make sure that the voice of the GMs are heard on this channel. And I think, I hope but hopefully the viewers are going to like it, and hopefully they'll subscribe and give us a chance.
Overall, what do you think the one thing is that isn't heard from Voices GMs? Now that we get a show, what is the one thing that you would be like, GMs get this? It's a bad rap or maybe underappreciated?
I think it's more of an explanation because, in general, unless the GM's in first place or a world champion, most fans want them fired, right? A lot of the decisions are unpopular. A lot of them become controversial. It's just the job you have. I mean, you drive into any city on a team that's not in first place and you turn on local radio and they'll want that person fired. Sometimes it's just kind of an explanation of why. Keep in mind, when you're in a reality GM spot, you have to be political, right? You have to protect your owner, right? You have to protect your players. You have to protect your staff. There's a lot that goes on. And so sometimes you need someone to translate GM speak to tell the audience really what's going on and kind of take off the filter that they have to have or the aspect of being political. And so in this particular role, we don't have to do that. We can explain to people exactly what the GMs are doing and why they're doing it, or why they view a player who hit 220, but they think he's going to hit 280, explain why that is the case. So I think it's just, let's take the curtain down, and all the things that the GMs can't really tell you publicly, we can tell you on this show.
Jim, you've never been silent with your opinion, so welcome to the family. You're going to run out of scarves and Louis Vuittons and Gucci's, though, if you have to do this once a week. So you're going to have to upgrade your style just a little bit if you're doing this on the regular. Now, congratulations. Welcome to the family. Explain to me why Eugenio Suarez only got 1 year, 15. It's a great move for the Reds. I love the move for the Reds, but why were there other teams not clamoring for his attention, like the Red Sox, the Yankees? I mean, there's a list of teams you could come up with that all could afford 1 year and $15 million for a guy that can hit you 50.
Yeah, AJ, you and I are on the same page on that. I don't get it. And one of the things when I look at the Yankees lineup, they're two left-handed, right? The only right-hand bats they have right now are Aaron Judge, whoever's playing shortstop, and Giancarlo Stanton. And we all know Giancarlo Stanton's injury history. But besides that, they're all left-handed. They needed a right-handed bat, and Suarez could have been that, backup third, backup first, backup DH. I mean, for 1 year at $15 million, are you kidding me? Look at the Detroit Tigers, another team, way too left-handed. They need another right-hand bat, and their best prospects are all left-hand hitters too that are coming, like Kevin McGonigal and Max Clark and Briseño. So, I think that he would have fit so many spots. I'm surprised the Pirates didn't make a better effort. That one really surprises me. But I always like to give credit where credit's due. And Nick Kroll, the president, Brad Meter, the GM, they listened to Todd Frazier last week on Foul Territory. And Todd was manifesting Suarez going to the Reds as the DH. I texted with Nick Kroll yesterday. I wanted to know the role that Suarez was going to have. He was very clear with me. He said, look, he's going to DH. He'll place him third, and we'll give him some reps at first base in spring training. To get a 49 home run bat at Great American Small Park, the hit in your middle of the lineup, that was a huge pickup for them. And look, shame on some of the teams that weren't more aggressive. Look, I even thought a team like the Rockies would have been smart. Sign him, give him a 2-year deal, trade him at the trade deadline. Let him hit all those homers at Coors Field and try to get a prospect for him. But at the end of the day, I think he landed in a great spot for him, a great ballpark. He's familiar with the city. He's going to add to that culture in that clubhouse. So I love the signing for them. I thought it was a bargain deal. And yes, I agree with you. I think a lot of teams missed the boat with Suarez.
No question about that. And good for the Cincinnati Reds locking him up. And Erik was making the point, Jim, that it's unbelievable that a guy on basically February 1st is a cleanup hitter and is being signed this late into the offseason. Your first episode with Trade Dropped, it was all on the AL East, so we're going to stick to the National League here. Your reaction to the Luis Arraez signing with the San Francisco Giants and what that does to the middle of their infield and the middle of their order. And why is this a guy, Jim, that has 3 batting titles to his credit, yet he keeps getting traded, or he's continued to be available?
Yeah, so I'll start, first of all, with the last question that you threw out there. It's because Arraez wins the batting title. He does it without power, without speed, and a below-average defender with below-average range. So you're getting one tool, right? And it's an important tool because he can create traffic. And that's what I like about his fit with the Giants. He can hit at the top of the lineup, get on base. And that allows Devers, Adames, and Chapman, when they go yard, that it can be a 2-run homer or a 3-run homer instead of a solo shot. So from an offensive perspective, I like it. Now, keep in mind, while the Dodgers have been shopping at Bloomingdale's and Saxford Avenue and Neiman Marcus, the Giants have spent the winter shopping at Target and Costco and Walmart. But that doesn't mean they're not getting value deals. And I think Arraez comes at a value, just like I thought Harrison Bader, who I think is a 4th outfielder, but it improved their defense in center field. I like them taking a chance on Tyler Mahle in the middle of their rotation. If he can stay healthy, he can help. So these small moves, I think, makes them a little better. It brings them closer to the Padres, although not the Dodgers. But I think when you look at Arraez, the other fit that I have is a couple of things. Number one, Ron Washington is there on the San Francisco staff. So Ron Washington can be working with him defensively. He makes everybody better defensively. So I like that. Number two, right now they've got Bryce Eldridge going to be the DH. He's 6'7". He's 21 years old. He has big holes at the plate. There's no guarantee that he's going to be Rookie of the Year. There's no guarantee he's going to hit in the first 2 months. In fact, he could pull an Aaron Judge. And if you remember Aaron Judge's rookie year, he punched out 50% of the time, literally. Eldridge, that could happen to him as well. So for the Giants to have Arraez, if Eldridge doesn't hit, you can option him out. You can put Arraez at DH and put Casey Schmidt back at second base to improve your defense at the position. So I like the play for traffic. I like the depth play in case Eldridge doesn't hit. And I like the value dollar-wise.
All right. I love that both these players, Eugenio Suarez and Luis Arraez, both signed pretty much on the same days. As a GM, who got better value? $12 million for Arraez into the Giants lineup, or $15 million for Eugenio Suarez into the Reds lineup?
It's the $15 million for Suarez for me in the lineup for sure, because it's, he may not hit 49 homers, but he'll probably hit 40 in that ballpark, right? And that's huge for that team. The big 3-run homers, I think he can be more of a difference maker for Cincinnati than Arraez can be for San Francisco. So for $3 million more to get a 40 home run bat, yeah, I'm going to take Suarez, and I like the question.
All right, so you mentioned Pittsburgh. I mentioned Pittsburgh. Is Pittsburgh, and I said this, Pittsburgh's at a point where they have to overpay, and we've had this conversation. And it's not on the knock on the Pirates. Listen, they're trying, but if you go to Geno Suarez and they say, oh, we're willing to go 2 years, a little bit higher AAV, if you go to him and say, we'll give you 240, do you think he's going to say no to that? Like, you have to overpay because Pittsburgh hasn't proven over the last, honestly, I mean, I know they made the playoffs in the, 13, 14, around there. But honestly, they haven't been really relevant since the Barry Bonds, Bobby Bonilla. I'm talking like where they have a chance to win the World Series. So you have to prove to players that you're relevant and you really are trying, not just doing window dressing. Am I wrong on this?
Yeah, you're not wrong. And let me take you behind the curtain there with GM Ben Cherington, who, as we all remember, was a world champion general manager of the big market Boston Red Sox. And when he left there, he went to the Toronto Blue Jays, another big market team where he's used to paying what the value is of players. And then he'd gone over to Pittsburgh, and the ownership hasn't given him money really to spend on free agents since he's been there. This is the first year he's had a little bit of money to spend, and I'm just not sure he's used to understanding how hard it is to get players to a team like the Pittsburgh market. It's difficult. It's not easy, and you have to overpay to get them. I made the comment earlier today, they didn't really want Eugenio Suarez, because if they did, they would have gotten him. They would have done 2 years at 40 or 2 years at 38, and they would have gotten the player. So I don't want to hear that they wanted the player. Yes, they were interested. They didn't want him bad enough. That's kind of how it came down. If I'm Suarez and I have two similar offers, one in Cincinnati and one in Pittsburgh, I'm taking Cincinnati. That's where I'm going. And I think that's what Suarez did. But to your point, yeah, Pirates are going to have to learn from this experience. They undershot Kyle Schwarber. They should have made him the highest offer that any team did to at least have a chance for him. And they should have taken advantage of Suarez being on the open market. He might have been a game changer for them. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's one thing that Ben, if nothing else, learned. And we'll see if he can make an adjustment, because I still think they need one more bat.
Jim, why didn't the Red Sox even make an offer? And why are the offers so similar? Why is everyone offering a 1-year, $15 million deal? It seems like they're chatting.
Yeah, well, I don't want to answer that last part. I'm going to answer the first part. The Red Sox don't like his defense at third base. So they don't want the defense at third. They can't have him DH because they've got 4 outfielders, of which one has to DH every single night. They've got the best outfield in baseball. So the bottom line there was the defense at third. They didn't want Suarez to block Marcelo Meyer when he's healthy. They've got him at third base right now. And they're really concerned about the defense, and they should be, right? They have an elite defensive outfield, but the infield defense was very questionable last year, and there are still questions about that this year. So that is the answer. I probably would have taken a shot just because I would have liked him in that lineup at Fenway Park. I might have tried to live with the below average defense at third base and defense for him late in games. So that would have been my opinion. But to answer your question, that's why Craig Breslow passed on him.
All right, everybody loves to come and watch the show for your outfits, but they love to read projections because they know you're going to be exactly right. Let's start with the National League East. You had the Mets first, the Phillies third. Do they both make the playoffs? And kind of explain a little bit of your projections and your off-season grading for the National League East.
Okay. Thanks, Erik. Let me start with the Phillies. Phillies were hard for me to navigate through because I just don't know what I'm getting with Zach Wheeler. So, I don't know when Wheeler is going to be activated, and I don't know what he's going to look like. There are some pitchers that have had thoracic outlet syndrome that have never come back, like Steven Strasburg, although his was a different kind. But that's a question for me. If someone could tell me that Zach Wheeler is going to be the ace that he once was, I would think differently. I don't know what Aaron Nola is going to be. He really looked like he was declining to me. The stuff wasn't the same. Is he going to have a bounce back here? I'm not sure I know what he is. And with Andrew Painter, is he going to live up to the potential that we saw of him in the minor leagues? Another year away from Tommy John, can he live up to the potential? I don't know those questions. You're going to miss Ranger Suarez. I do know that question. I love Sanchez. He's now the ace right now of the Phillies, but it was the question mark in the starting pitching that had me put the Phillies in third place, probably in the playoffs, to answer your question, as a wild card team. But that's the only reason they weren't there. If the Wheeler and Nola answers are positive, then they've got as good a chance of any of winning the division. I kind of like the Odolis Garcia signing. The more that I look at it, the more I talk to people that had him last year, like Chris Young and Brett Boone, I get a little bit more excited about maybe a comeback year for him. Kind of open-minded with that, kind of watching that. They're running back the same team. I don't love the fact they're doing that again. I would have liked them to be able to land Bichette. That would have been a difference maker. In terms of the Mets, this was fascinating because they had like the worst offseason until January. And then all of a sudden they made those flurry of moves and just completely changed the outlook for me. Adding Freddie Peralta with Nolan McLean at the top of the rotation, that's significant for me. I think McLean may be the guy starting game one with Peralta starting game two, but now they have starting pitching depth as well. So they've got 2 guys at the top that are ace quality, and now they're 7 deep. And Jonah Tong may not even be in the rotation on opening day if Senga and Minaya are healthy. So, with Peterson and Holmes, I just like the depth there. I think Devin Williams and Luke Weaver will be fine. Williams looked good at the end of the year, so hopefully he can bounce back. And then I just, up the middle defensively, right? Simeon at second, Lindner at short, Robert at center, and Alvarez catching. I love that defense up the middle. And adding Bichette and Polanco, those are 2 20-home run guys. Bichette creates traffic. And I love the Soto sandwich of Lindner and Bichette sandwiching him in that lineup, whether it's Bichette 1, Lindner 3, or vice versa. I kind of like that. So I just feel like there's momentum in New York. I think that the pendulum has swung. And so I gave them an A- for my offseason grades, and I predicted them to win the division. I had Atlanta in second. I gave them a B+. I like the fact they got Robert Suarez and brought Iglesias back at the back end of the bullpen. Atlanta's grade has to do with, and putting them in second is kind of like Philadelphia. Is the pitching going to be healthy? Is Chris Sale back? Is Schwellen back? That I don't know. Is Spencer Strider going to be the guy we saw 3 or 4 years ago before Tommy John, or is he the guy we saw last year? Again, I don't know those questions. I do know this. If Atlanta's healthy, they're a playoff team. I do know that. So Again, I love this division. Miami's much better. I thought they had a solid offseason. Washington, they're rebuilding, but they're doing it the right way. So I think all in all, the NL East had a really good offseason. I lined them up, Mets, Braves, Phillies for now. We'll see if spring training changes anything, but that's kind of how I see it today.
Jim, I just want to go back to something you said about the Phillies. You question their pitching depth. Isn't that why they brought back Aaron Nola? Isn't that why they thought they could let Ranger Suarez get away? Isn't that why Jesus Luzardo was brought in? They have Andrew Painter. Is he going to bounce back, right? But this is the one thing. When they signed Aaron Nola, they said, we have consistency, right? They bring back Real Muto. They bring back Kyle Schwarber. We have consistency. We have consistency. We have consistency. Now everybody outside of Philadelphia is saying, man, are they too old? Now Nola's losing his stuff. Did they make some wrong decisions along the way of bringing back guys just to bring them back because they loved them?
I think you can, when you're running teams, I think you can get a team that's stale and you can have players that are together too long. And I think sometimes it's good whether you influx young players or whether you make some changes. I thought the Nola deal, I thought Joe Longo negotiated a great deal for Nola, a great long-term deal that was very player-friendly at the time. I questioned it at the time. And when you look at the dollars, it was an amazing deal for Nola. But again, none of us know for sure, how long pitchers can pitch at a certain level. You didn't know that at the time. None of us do. But I don't think we can ignore what we're watching. In terms of the position players, it's, how long has Alec Bohm been there? Bryson Stott, is there a chance to upgrade? They tried to with Bo Bichette. He recognized it. But I think one of the positive keys for Philadelphia could be the rookie Justin Crawford in center field. He's going to bring youth, energy, speed, range in the outfield. So that could be huge. Aiden Miller could get ready at some point during the season. He could take over third base or second base or play shortstop, and Turner could move to second base. I mean, I think that, those kind of things could change the direction of this team. But to me, the Phillies, it's all about that rotation. If you tell me Wheeler, Nola, Luzardo, and Sanchez are going to live up to when we've seen them the best, then they can run the table in October. So I don't think their run is over, but I think they better be careful because they are getting older and they are getting stale.
Jim, let's move our focus to the NL Central. You had said in your grades that Chicago, you expect them to be first. Not a huge shocker there. But the question for Cincinnati that you pose is, even with Suarez on board, Jim, do they have enough offense to make it back to the postseason? They did make it last year. They lost to the Dodgers in 2 games, but they were in the postseason. Do they have enough?
Yeah, I mean, I think, all right, so let's talk about what has to happen for them to have enough, right? 2 of the keys for me are right fielder Noelvi Marte and first baseman Sal Stewart. I love both their bats. Can they do it this year? Can they be consistent? Can they give us 500 plate appearances and live up to the offense? We don't have that answer. I know they have the potential of doing that. Can L.A. De La Cruz be the player that we think he's going to be this year? Or is he going to be the player that he's been so far? Great tools. It looks like a player that could be an MVP player someday. It looks like a guy could be in the Hall of Fame someday. You have to do it, though, right? You can't keep talking about it. You can't chase out of the zone. You got to be more consistent. If he's healthy, can he live up to our expectations? Will he finish top 5 in the MVP? I think that has to happen for them. And then, you look at the bottom of the lineup. I need Matt McClain to be the player I saw his rookie year, which I haven't seen since, right? He's gone through a lot of injuries. Another year away from his shoulder surgery. Hopefully he can add to that. So I just kind of think there's a lot of questions with their young hitters, and I think there's a lot of questions at the very bottom of their lineup. So I think, that's kind of why I look at it. They were an 83-win team last year that made the playoffs. If you blinked, you would have missed their series with the Dodgers. But the thing I love about the Reds is I love the starting pitching. I love the bullpen depth. I love the manager in Terry Francona. I think this is an 85 to 87 win team. Is that going to be good enough to make the playoffs? I don't know. But I do think I have both the Cubs and the Brewers ahead of them because I think the Reds lineup needs more length. And I think we have a lot of questions about young hitters living up to potential.
Which NOS storyline is the one that's going to shape the division more than any other one? Ketel Marte still being out there, possibly to be traded, uncertainty of what is going to happen with Tony Vitello and managing the Giants. Is it just the Dodgers are just going to be the World Series champions, so everyone else is playing for second place?
Well, I mean, I think in the West, the Dodgers, for the first time, I don't think will have a race. And we have been having a race. I mean, people don't realize in the regular season last year, Milwaukee Brewers had a better record than the Dodgers, but we've watched a race between the Padres have been in it. Arizona's been in it for years. I don't think we're going to have that anymore. I think the Dodgers offseason has said goodbye, ciao and chillax, everybody. You're gone. Okay. We'll see you guys in October. Okay. I think there's the biggest separation we've seen in a long, long time with this Dodger team, which is built so well at every level, by the way, the minor league system, the scouting, the analytics, science, technology. They just they're the model of baseball. That's what they are. And they're in a dynasty that we should all embrace and enjoy. So I think what's going to be fun is the race between the Padres and Giants for second or third. Can one of these teams make the playoffs? I think that's going to be a really big storyline. And yeah, I do think at some point Ketel Marte gets traded. And I do think the two managers, though, with San Diego and San Francisco, both of them, whether it's Vitello or Craig Stammen, I think it's fascinating to watch how they succeed or how they develop or what hiccups they have. I mean, it's kind of interesting, kind of bizarre to me that we have two really inexperienced major league managers in these positions. And I'm just going to be fascinated to see kind of how that plays out. So I guess if I had to pick one storyline, because I think the Dodgers is too easy, I think it's the two managers in San Diego and San Francisco and how they do.
Do you see the Dodgers running away with the actual record because of how they use their rotation? Somebody's barking a little. We already heard Blake Snell is kind of exhausted from last year's 100 innings that he threw, and they're kind of holding them back a little bit. Do you feel like they're really going to push to win 100 games, or they're just built so deep that they're just going to win 100 games?
Yeah, they're built so deep they're going 100 games. Yes. But to answer your question, they're going to play the regular season for October. They're not going to push these starting pitchers. So they're going to go with a 6-man rotation. And then as we get to June and July, we're going to have an injured list of an oblique, or we're going to have a toenail that needs to go on the IL. And we're just going to monitor the innings. We're going to go slow. We're going to get everything ready for October. And we're going to show off our pitching depth as we develop Sasaki and Sheehan. We still have Landon Knack. Bobby Miller hasn't gone away. We're going to go and take our time. And that bullpen, yes, they've got Diaz now in the back end, arguably the best closer in the league, but they're 8 deep after him. They've got 8 guys that they can run out there. So starters don't have to go deep into games. We can take our time. Give me 5. I'll go to the bullpen. I've got 8 guys, and I got a farm system loaded with more. So, yeah, let's take our time. We're just going to yawn, win 100, and we'll catch you in October. And we'll be ready to go in October, believe me.
Alana? Oh, geez, sorry. I thought Alana was going. Sorry, Jim. We hit Arraez. We hit Suarez, free agents. What about, before we go, I got to ask, Gallen, Framber, Valdez, are they going to sign? Because spring training starts in about, a week? I think some teams report on the 10th-ish, 11th-ish, around then. So we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here, Jim. Have you heard anything about those two guys?
Yeah, AJ, you know what's funny? I've heard nothing about Framber, and I've been trying to dig. I've been trying to get anything from anybody, and all I keep hearing is probably going to end up in Baltimore, but I think the market for him is just completely fell flat, and I just don't know what the agents are planning now. I don't know if they're planning on, hey, I'll wait to spring training and see if somebody blows their arm out, where maybe somebody else jumps in. Obviously, they don't have anything on the table they like. I don't know if they're ready to do the Suarez thing and just sign that short one-year deal and have a home. But I have not heard anything, AJ, and I have been digging very hard. In terms of Gallen, he does have a pretty good market, but he is tied to draft pick compensation, which is a problem. He's coming off a down year, which is somewhat of an issue. I keep hearing a return to Arizona is most likely. That's the latest I've heard. But there are a lot of teams in on Zach Gallen. He does have a robust market, and Scott Boras represents him. And Scott, as you know, never going to be in a hurry. He's going to take his time. He's going to think that if he may have an advantage to wait until spring training starts, Scott's never been afraid to do that with a client. So I'm not really worried about Gallen finding a home. I think he can always return to Arizona. Framber's kind of, to me, the most fascinating free agent of this entire offseason. I can't wait to see where he lands and how much he gets. I can tell you one thing. If I was a GM of any of these teams, I would be making that phone call every single day to see if there isn't a way I could steal the player.
Jim, always phenomenal information. We appreciate it very much. Don't forget, you guys, a brand new show, GM Territory with Jim and his son, Trey. Let's make sure you guys get to subscribe to that. We appreciate it. All right, so before we move on and get to our next guest, I want to kind of just go back here with the grades, Erik and AJ, that Jim gave us in terms of anything that surprises you. I know, AJ, you had brought up the Phillies, but is there anything that surprises you in terms of the offseason grades from Jim?
Not really. I think Jim's pretty good about this stuff. Jim's pretty locked in with this stuff. And I love Jim's opinion on a lot of this stuff because that's why the Phillies was fascinating to me, his answer, because most people would say, man, the Phillies really did a great job bringing the boys back together, right? Well, he's like, I don't know about that, right? And then remember, let's not forget, it wasn't that long ago where we were bashing the Mets, mostly Kratz, but I think Scott said something, Alanna, I was all for the Mets, always. Mets, go Mets. You can see my orange and blue today, go Mets. But all of a sudden now they're the pride of the division because of the moves they made late. So I think he nails it. I think the Dodgers are the clear favorite. They'll be number one in my power rankings again until someone beats them the whole year. So just go ahead, producer lady, and put Dodgers number one in my power rankings for the whole year. And I mean, the NL Central, the Cubs have done so much. The Brewers have come back. I think he's damn good at this. That's why he's on our network now. That's right. Erik, what about you? What say you?
I don't know. I just feel like what the Pirates did this offseason, I get it. They didn't get Schwarber. They didn't get Suarez. I'm never taking a Jim Bowden class because an A-, I feel like the Pirates, they've done a great job. I mean, I get it. His explanation is they're not finished yet. But, man, if you can't get an A from Jim, that is a high bar to set. I truly think the addition for the Reds with Suarez, I think it catapults them over my Brewers. Just saying.
Okay. But Chicago's still the winner of the division?
Today.
Okay. As we sit here on February 2nd. All right. Always good stuff from Jim Spradling is with as far as the WBC, guys. So, Shawn, thank you so much. I know it was kind of a last-minute thing. We're super psyched that you're with us. You sent out a pretty good explainer about the WBC insurance issues, and there's a lot of questions right now about that situation. So welcome to Foul Territory. If you can, explain this to the layperson, what's going on with the insurance.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I think this, like you said, this is a perfect time to talk the WBC for two reasons. One, because of all the insurance issues, and two, because of AJ's comments on the last show where he called it an exhibition. So we'll get into that. But with the insurance,
I can't wait for this bullshit.
with the insurance, it's, if you look on Twitter, it's been a mess because fans are mad and players are mad and everyone's kind of up in arms trying to figure out what's going on, because it seems like there's more players that are being denied insurance for this tournament than the last one. And it all comes down to guaranteed salaries, like who's on the hook for actually paying for the players if they get hurt in the WBC. And unfortunately, like a lot of the top Puerto Rican players have been the ones that have been like the bigger casualties from the tournament. Obviously, the big names like Francisco Lindor and Carlos Correa. So we're trying to figure out, there's frankly not much transparency into the process of like what makes a player insurable versus uninsurable. I think that would kind of clear up a lot of issues, because the big discourse right now is like, you see a lot of fans saying like, how did Byron Buxton get approved his insurance, but Francisco Lindor did not? And so there's just a lot of confusion as to what causes a player to be insurable or not insurable. But ultimately, every player that on a 40-man roster that plays in the WBC is required to have some sort of insurance. Otherwise, their salary is not guaranteed.
No, that's a big problem. But by the way, just to answer your question, we're going to get into later. You want to know what means more? The regular season, because if it's meant so much and wasn't an exhibition, all these guys would be playing. But now let's get into the insurance, okay? The insurance thing for me, listen, as somebody that was denied from playing in the 2006 one because the team just said no, right? It's changed over the years, and teams allow more teams. Listen, Edwin Diaz announced that he's going to play for Puerto Rico, and he's like the example everyone says, like, gosh, guys get hurt and miss the year. Okay. Have we gone too far now, though? Have the teams gone too far? If guys really want to play, Lindor wants to play. Obviously, Miguel Rojas wants to play. All these guys want to play for their country and represent where they're from. And I think it's bigger for Puerto Rico because the talent pool is smaller than a U.S. or even a Dominican or some Venezuela, some of the other teams. But have we gone too far on the side of, gosh, we have to be so careful? Because honestly, position players, they don't get hurt and miss the year very often.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing is like pretty much all the big stars are bought into the tournament. It's no longer, the question's no longer like, do the players want to play? It's like we need to find a way to get them in, like to actually be able to play. And I think that's been one of the biggest frustrations for fans is like, okay, Francisco Lindor was announced a year ago that he wants to play, and he had this minor cleanup over the offseason. And so because of that, he got denied insurance, but he's healthy enough to play in spring training. That's kind of the confusion that I think fans are dealing with right now. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the WBC is not one of the main talking points when it comes to CBA negotiations coming up, because we've gotten past the players wanting to play or not wanting to play. All of the like Latin American countries, East Asian countries, they've all been bought in since the first tournament. It's just a lot of the American pitchers, for good reason, have been kind of back and forth on wanting to play, wanting to be healthy for the season. But that's not the issue this time. I mean, we have the two best pitchers on the planet pitching in the WBC for Team USA. So I agree. I think it has maybe gone a little bit too far one way.
Shawn, why does it seem like Puerto Rico in particular is taking the biggest hit?
That's the biggest question that everyone's trying to answer right now. And it's, some fans will say it's biased. I don't necessarily think it's biased towards one country or another, because we don't know what the insurer is considering when it comes to who is insurable and who is not insurable. I think a lot of it is they're really taking into account like recent injuries and surgeries and procedures that have been done. So, for example, Lindor with his cleanup over the offseason, it seems like that was a big enough and recent enough event for them to deny him insurance. Whereas, let's say Byron Buxton, that's the name that everybody is throwing out as like, how did he get approved for the WBC insurance when he's been hurt for so long? Well, he did also just come off of his like probably his most healthy season he's had of his career. And the other thing is the insurance policies change depending on how expensive your contract is. So it's like the policy that you're going to have for insurance for Lindor is going to be much more expensive than it is for Buxton. So I don't think, personally, my personal opinion, I don't think there's any bias towards or against certain countries. I think it's just been a really unlucky draw for Puerto Rico, especially because they're hosting. They're one of the 4 hosts for the tournament in San Juan. Like, fans have already bought tickets to go to Puerto Rico. They bought plane tickets to the games. And so it's really unfortunate that this is all happening like right before rosters are announced. But there is like glimmers of hope, because there are already a couple pitchers that have been reversed. They've either been previously denied insurance and now been given insurance, or they've found alternative insurance options and are now able to play in the WBC. So it seems like they're figuring things out, at least internally. We'll find out everything else on Thursday when the rosters are actually announced. But for now, we're kind of just in this like waiting of seeing who's going to be approved and who won't. How much of a
Blow is this? Because of the fact that Team Puerto Rico is hosting it in San Juan. They finally get to host it. And I think it was eight or nine guys were denied based on insurance. Like, how big of a blow is it? And how big of a blow would it be if Team Puerto Rico says, no, we're pulling out. We're not.
Oh, I mean, it would be massive. Yeah, I mean, like, Puerto Rico has been one of the most loyal WB supporters, their fans, their players, their federation, since its inception in 2006. Like, that is no doubt. They're some of the most passionate, excited fans of the WBC. And so if they pull out, like you said, the Puerto Rico Baseball Federation president has threatened to withdraw from the tournament. And if they were to do that, it would be massive. It would be a massive blow for the WBC because you lose one of your hosts and you lose one of your most loyal supporting countries of the WBC. I think because we have these players that are starting to get approved insurance and finding other alternatives, I don't think that they're going to go through with actually pulling out of the tournament. It just would be a huge loss for the WBC. But I don't think that long term, let's assume that they don't pull out of the WBC. I don't think that it's going to affect the long-term health of the WBC much. I think that this, instead of like dissolving the WBC and helping it fall apart, I think it's going to be the opposite. I think it actually shows how passionate fans are about the WBC and how important it is now, that there is such a big pushback when players like Lindor aren't approved for the tournament. Like, you have politicians, you have the federation's president in Puerto Rico saying like, we're not going to play in this tournament unless we get our top players. That shows how important the WBC is now compared to how much it was perceived to be, how important it was perceived to be maybe 10, 15 years ago. And so I think that this will bring about reform rather than like tearing the WBC apart.
Just FYI, there's no way that they withdraw. There's no way. I'm sorry. It's a cool thing. Like, we're going to boycott, but there's no way they pull out. They're hosting. They're going to get a bunch of money. There's no way the Puerto Rican baseball, they'll figure it out. One way or another, they'll figure it out. But what I want to say is what you just said at the end. We're going to get into it now. Okay. This is still an exhibition. It's an important exhibition. Everybody loves it. I love the WBC. Listen, I'm a fan. I think this is awesome. I think it's one of the great showcases. It reminds me, I wish there was a better time to do it like the Four Nations did in the NHL, but I love it. I love the passion. I love that USA is now finally bought in, because at the beginning they were like, this is kind of a joke. And then Dominican, Japan, everyone went out and kicked USA's butt. Now they're like, all right, we need our best guys out there, but it's still an exhibition. Okay. And it still doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. The World Series and the playoffs are still more important to everybody. I'm sorry, Sean, JP Morosi, all you guys that love the WBC, because I'm one of the WBC lovers, okay? But at the end of the day, when someone goes into the Hall of Fame, they don't say he was on a WBC second place team. They say he won a World Series, or he was on the National League Championship, or he did this in the postseason. They don't say, man, this guy hit 320 in the 2023 WBC. Only thing that people remember from the 2023 WBC is the home run by Trey Turner and the strikeout of Mike Trout. It was a great tournament. There was unbelievable moments, but those are what people remember.
These are my fake reading glasses. I don't actually need them. They're blue light glasses, but they're to emphasize my point that I'm about to make. So Nelson Cruz, direct quote, "The WBC is the real World Series." Gene Segura, Christian Vasquez said, if I were to have to pick between the World Series and the WBC, I'd pick the WBC. Randy Arozarena, he said, my catch in the WBC was better than the home run I hit in the World Series. Trout and Mookie, the most fun experience I've ever had playing baseball. I think that it's just a word semantics issue, because in the international baseball world, exhibition, the word exhibition is always synonymous with meaningless, which is the farthest thing from the truth. And I think you agree with that. It's not meaningless by any means.
No, not at all.
The word exhibition is always used in that sense of like meaningless exhibition tournament. I think the distinction is it's not an exhibition, it's a global championship, because exhibitions don't have qualifiers for that event. You don't heavily recruit for an exhibition. It's a global championship is what I would call it. That's the only distinction I would make.
You don't recruit for the All-Star game? Sorry. You don't recruit for the All-Star game? That's an exhibition. That doesn't mean...
Where are the qualifiers, though? You don't have to qualify to get into the All-Star game.
Who has to qualify to get into the WBC? The teams at the
All
bottom?
of the countries. We had WBC qualifiers last year, spring 2025.
Was the United States in the qualifier?
All the time.
No.
So you mean to tell me that the United States had to qualify for the WBC? They were going to say, no, USA's out, guys. USA didn't qualify. Not a fucking chance. Not a chance.
AJ, I will disagree. I won't even let Sean talk on this one. Everybody has to qualify. And Sean probably knows the semantics more. Now, if you get second place in the previous WBC, that's a certain amount of points. And then over the next 3 years, you you amass tons of points. That's why Poland's not in, because Poland has 0 points right now.
Fine. That's
And I will say, if
play.
you do end up managing for Poland, they're not going to like you saying it's an exhibition.
Rob Manfred doesn't like a lot of things I say. What's new? I mean, okay. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't like things that I say. I don't care. I mean, their exhibition. Again, I'm going to go back to my original point that I said. It's exhibition is probably the wrong word. Okay, but if this was a regular season game, and we even said it on here, Francisco Lindor can play in regular exhibition games in spring training, but they're not letting him play in these exhibition games. So they want him ready for the regular season. These games do not mean as much as the regular season to some people. Some people
I think
find
there's a
quotes. I can
different
find quotes.
To some people, that's a good distinction to some people. Nelson Cruz would disagree.
I
I played with
also
Nelson
say
Cruz.
maybe these games don't mean as much to the teams. The World Baseball Classic doesn't mean as much to the teams, but to the players, as Shawn was just saying, these games matter more to some players than their Major League Baseball games, albeit regular season and postseason. So the individual is different than the entity.
Yes,
and
agreed.
I think there's an important distinction to make too, is like in talking about this insurance issue, it only applies to MLB 40-man rosters. Like all of the players in NPB and KBO, CPBL, they have their own process to figure out insurance, but this specific insurer for the WBC is for 40-man roster players. So it's interesting that to see, like, of course, like most of the big stars in our game are in MLB. So it ends up impacting a lot of our biggest stars, and like a Francisco Lindor. I mean, MLB had Francisco Lindor front and center on all the promos leading up to the tournament. It's not like MLB doesn't want their big stars in the tournament. I think it's just we need to figure out a way to have a little bit more transparency into the process so that we at least know what to expect when a player is listed as insurable or uninsurable. And the one-word exhibition, we might just need to rebrand it to Global Championship.
Shawn, I love it. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep fighting the power, my friends. Appreciate you very
Global
much.
Championship.
I know that
So we got to change the name of the World Series because it's not technically it's not really the World Series.
Yes,
That's what
it
Nelson
is.
Cruz said.
It's
All right,
not.
He
Shawn.
said the WBC is the real World Series.
A couple countries playing the quote World Series. Like I'd love to play Japan as champion. I'll take the 2025 Dodgers against whoever won the NPB, whoever wins the Caribbean World Series. I'll take those.
The
chances.
international baseball
That'd be
world
a
has
real
been asking
World
for
Series.
that for years. If we could finally have like the winner of NPB play against the Dodgers, the whole international baseball world would absolutely love that. I would love to see that.
Yes.
Twitter's head would explode. Shawn, thank you so much. We know you got to get on another call. We appreciate it. You guys can check out what Shawn's doing, of course, on X at Shawn Spradling. We'll talk to you again soon.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
All right, we're going to continue the conversation. Thanks for Shawn for coming on. It's interesting. You know, I can understand it from both perspectives, guys. If you look at what he was talking about, I mean, but why do you think that like Team Puerto Rico said they might withdraw the team from the tournament after learning 8 to 10 of their players would be denied? Now, AJ, you said there's no way in the world that they do this, especially since they are the host, one of the hosts of the 4. That would make a statement, though, would it not?
Yeah, it would, but they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. Like all this public interest now, they'll find a way to figure this. Puerto Rico's not. Can you imagine if Puerto Rico went to Major League Baseball and said, "We're going to pull out of this tournament right now, 2 weeks before it's about to start, whatever, 3 weeks before it's start, month, whatever it is," and they're like, you got to find a new host." Major League Baseball would say, "Not only are you never going to host again, we don't know that we'll invite you back again." It would not be a good look for Puerto Rico. I'm sorry. I get what they're saying and I understand why they're upset. And I want Francisco Lindor and I want all these Puerto Rican guys, Carlos Correa, that want to play to be able to play. But they're not going to do this because they know over the long haul, this is not a good thing for them to do. And I think it's just posturing. And I think that this is a way for them to threaten this and then they'll figure out a way to get this done.
I mean, they're running out of time, EK.
They are running out of time, and this is why it's all coming to a head right now. But insurance, as anybody who pays for insurance, life insurance I guess doesn't change, but homeowners, auto, rental, all that stuff has gone up in the last 3 years. It has gone up exponentially. I think by like 75% in some industries. So maybe there's a standard that the WBCI, which is Major League Baseball, and the Players Association has to change their standard, because clearly there's some type of line that says, okay, if this is the price, we're not paying for these guys to play. Because Great Britain, their federation can't afford to pay Aroldis Chapman's insurance, no matter what that insurance is. They don't have the cash that like a Team USA federation has, but the federations aren't paying for it. Right now, it's Major League Baseball and the Players Association, because it's 40-man roster guys and because it's a owned tournament by the WBCI is what I was just told. And so maybe they need to change their percentage of what they're going to pay, because insurance costs go up. Just look at your bill wherever you get it
But there's
from.
not a major league team of the 30 that has guys on 40-man rosters that can't pay for the insurance for their players. There's
It's
not a
group.
major league that can't pay. You're trying to tell me, and I know Miguel Rojas' situation was different because his was an age thing versus an insurance thing, but let's just say it was an insurance thing. You're telling me that the Dodgers can't pay Miguel Rojas' insurance or Otani's insurance or Yamamoto's insurance, or,
We just talked about this. You can't tell me there's not a team that couldn't pay Eugenio Suarez $15 million to play.
Right. There's a difference of want to versus can.
There you go. And I think they've set their line, and unfortunately, Team Puerto Rico is a team that's just no. And there's clearly ways around it, and I'm hoping that they use some common sense, or else I think it could really hurt this. It could really hurt it if you don't have the stars playing in your tournament, exhibition, global championship, whatever you want to call it. It is not good for your exhibition, tournament, whatever it is.
To Eric's point, the coverage has become considerably more expensive. The league's insurers has become more stringent about which players it approves. So that's another thing too. Where is that line? Which player are you going to approve, and where is the fairness in that? People briefed on the underwriting process who are not authorized to speak publicly said no cap exists for how much salary can be covered in total across Major League Baseball.
But that's not.
So again, this is different rules for different players.
No,
Yeah.
different rules for different situations. But they still have a cap of where they want to go. And if they didn't revisit it, I don't know that they didn't revisit it. But if they didn't revisit that cap from the insurer, I mean, AJ, you live in Florida. I'm sure your insurance goes up if you lived on the coast. There's places that aren't even insuring places fully. And this is for houses, but insurance is essentially across the board the same thing. It just goes up. Premiums go up. And if you don't change it, look at what happened to the Trop. The Trop, they dropped their insurance the year that the roof blew off because it went up by a certain percentage and they were willing to take the risk. They're not able to take that risk right now. It's kind of like a dirty insurance thing to talk about.
This tournament prints cash.
Also, I just want to say this. This insurance isn't just a WBC thing. It's also in baseball thing, because it can dictate guys that are signed and guys that aren't signed. Older guys, they have a hard time getting insurance on older guys' contracts, maybe, that they couldn't sign them to a longer term deal because they couldn't get them insured. I mean, this insurance thing is, yes, the spotlight's on it for WBC. We don't have enough time to get into it, but it also affects more than just the WBC in Major League Baseball and all sports, really.
Yeah. I don't know. I think if a guy wants to play for his country, you let him play, and you find a way. If you want to grow the game that every owner says they want to do, whether it's service or not, you want to grow the game. This is a great way to do it.
They don't want to. They don't truly want to grow the game. They want their agenda, their bottom line, and because there's a lot of people that they have to answer to. And I think it sucks because of the fact that it's glaring towards, like Miggy Rowe said, Puerto Rican and Venezuelan players. it sucks. And I think there should be some transparency there. I think Spradling said, I think Shawn said that. I think they need to have transparency and say, this is why. We have some ideas, but we need a little bit more.
I mean,
Why won't they can insure themselves. Why won't they just insure themselves? You can go to Lloyd's of London and get insurance on your own contract. They can play.
yeah, you're right.
Or
I don't know.
Or
I mean, it's
have Major League Baseball pay for the part that they would pay for, and the rest pay, and the players pay for that are denied the extra. Whatever that extra is. Hey, we're willing to pay. Who knows what it is? It's a month. You're getting insurance for not even a month, for 2 weeks, based on your future salary. It's not like they're insuring like Max Scherzer did.
It doesn't work like that.
Max Scherzer had to pay when he was with the Tigers, and he turned down that massive deal, and then he ended up signing a massive deal with the Nats. He bought his own insurance. That insurance plan was for an entire season, just like these college football guys who are buying insurance for their last bowl game, because if they get hurt in that bowl game, they could slip to the third round. They could, it's different if you're playing 1 game or 5 games or 162 games.
No, but you still have to cover the whole season, though. That's the difference.
I get it.
So that what you're saying is not right. You still have to pay an insurance policy because you're covering that season in that contract. So you're not paying just for cover me for these 2 weeks. You have to pay premiums that say, hey, I'm covering whatever my contract is not just on these 2 weeks. Like, yes, you're only playing for 2 weeks, but God forbid you get hurt in those 2 weeks. You got to pay enough money to cover that entire contract if possible. So
but the insurance too is like if the guy gets hurt, they're on the hook for a couple of years of the player's contract. It's not just the time that they're out. It's 2 years. Somebody in our chat said that they should try Geico because they like that little gecko. Just some levity for the situation, guys. Just here to just make you laugh. I mean, that's just what I'm here for. Let's turn the topic to Shohei Ohtani in the WBC. This is not an insurance issue. This is Shohei Ohtani is participating for Team Japan, but he did say that he will not pitch in the WBC, and he will get ready for the regular season to pitch for the Dodgers. This was from Alden Gonzalez of ESPN. Dodgers manager Dave Roberts said Ohtani will not pitch in the WBC, adding that it was Ohtani's decision. AJ, do you think it was Ohtani's decision, which I believe it was because I believe that the Dodgers do whatever Ohtani says? And do you like this? Do you like this choice?
No, I hate the choice because I love the WBC, but I understand it. Of course, I want to see Ohtani versus Trout at the end again, like we saw a couple years ago, but I understand it. And listen, was it his choice? Here's what it was. Here's one thing we know about Shohei Ohtani. He makes informed decisions for the longevity of his career. And the worst thing that he could have happen right now for not only him, but for the Dodgers is him going out and getting hurt pitching. Again, the odds of a position player going out and getting hurt and missing an entire season, yes, they are there, but they're much slimmer than a pitcher. So I totally get this and I totally understand it. It just sucks because I want to see him pitch and I want that moment again. The Ohtani Trout, the Ohtani Judge, bottom of the ninth, he's pitching and boom, we'll see what happens. Ohtani versus whoever, Will Smith, whoever you want to throw out there, like his teammate or, someone, again, Aaron Judge. That'd be really cool to see, but it's the smart decision.
I didn't get to talk to you after you took a picture with Ohtani. Were you nervous?
Oh, of course. I was scared to death to ask him because all I heard was, he won't do it, he won't do it, he won't do it. He was great. He was nice. He laughed. Luckily, I knew his translator, though, so that helped me kind of with the insights.
Oh, you know Will the Thrill? Ireton?
No, I know Matt. His personal guy.
Oh, pardon me.
Because he has two different ones now. He used to just have the one. Now he has Matt at home and he has the Dodgers one. And Matt used to work for Fukudome when Fukudome played with me, and he's great. So both those Fukudome and Matt. So when I saw him, Matt's like, oh, and he introduced me and gave a little funny story. I don't know what he said because I don't speak Japanese, but Shohei laughed. So I'm sure it was something very
it's probably degrading and inappropriate, but nevertheless, you got a picture with Shohei Ohtani. I'm jealous. Erik, he's not pitching. I'm imagining you can understand the reasoning behind that as well.
Yeah, 100%. We just had Jim Bowden on talking about how when you have a little hangnail or you're going to have a little soreness, guys are going to sit out. Not because the Dodgers don't care. It's because the Dodgers have one thing from top to bottom, from A-ball all the way up to the Guggenheims. They are locked in on winning the World Series. And you know what? Shohei Ohtani not pitching for his country was massive intrigue. I forget how many, like double or tripled his Instagram followers last WBC when he was in it. Like the only bigger star was Lars Nootbaar. I'm kidding. But this is what we go to see. We see the best players play. So yeah, I'm sad that he's not going to pitch. Am I surprised? Absolutely not. He's still going to play. He's still one of the top 3 best hitters on the planet. We just don't get to see one of the, top 10 pitchers on the planet. So, oh well, boo-hoo us. But we saw it last time. Enjoy it. Remember it. Go rewind and let the Dodgers go and try to win their World Series without Shohei.
What if we see like a Paul Skeens versus Shohei Ohtani at bat? That would be awesome.
We can see that in the regular season.
Yeah, I want Dodgers versus Pirates.
Yeah, here's what I want. Alanna, we want the drama that happened in the last one. First time Trout faced Ohtani, teammates, bottom of the ninth. Like, listen, can we say Shohei faced Aaron Judge in the regular season or the postseason? Absolutely. But with the game on the line, country versus country, as much as this means more than the World Series, with Erik and Scott and Shawn, right? We want to see that. We want that drama. We're here. That's why people are like this, because this is why the Olympics needs Major League Baseball players and MPB and the best players in the world playing in it, just like the NHL does. Shut the season down for a couple weeks. Let these guys go play. Showcase the game to the world, everybody, because it's an unbelievably great game if you just show it to people.
Amen.
I want to see Edwin Diaz versus Will Smith, or let's see, Paul Skeens versus. I'm trying to think, do they have anybody on an international team? That's what I want to see. I want to see Shohei versus Scooble. I want to see that left-handed match. Like that's what we're here for, and that's what is so cool about your country playing, or players, your stars, your team star playing for your country. Because there is plenty of Minnesota Twins, White Sox fans who can be a fan of Team USA and cheer for Tarek Skubal. And they will never cheer for Tarek Skubal again until he goes to another team. No, I mean, he's not going to go to the White Sox. So, because he's a Tigers player, but that's what international baseball does. And I am probably not as big of a baseball nerd for international baseball as JP Morosi or Shawn Spradling. But I love international baseball, from Winter League to the WBC to all the minor league players that play in the stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah, Caribbean Series started yesterday, so it's good. There's baseball. We are in the month of February. There is baseball to be had. There is baseball to be played. We're going to stay on top of this, bring you guys updates as more information becomes available. But let's bring on our next guest, Richie Shaffer. All right, good to have Richie back on Foul Territory with us. Good to be with you. I want to talk a little bit about basically what guys are doing, Richie, to get ready, to stay ready, to be in shape, to be healthy. I mean, it seems like injuries, of course, are such a big part of the game. Arm issues with guys, with pitchers. Seems like everyone's having Tommy John. So what do you think the biggest thing is right now in terms of guys getting healthy and staying healthy for the long term?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Good to see you all. I think there's kind of these two worlds for players on like how they have to get ready for this. You got like the players like myself who had to be ready like 100% day one on camp because you got to compete for a spot. And then there's guys who can kind of use spring training to kind of ramp up for the season. So kind of depends on like where your situation's at with what you're sort of training for and what you're competing for. And so I think right now guys are probably right in the middle of ramping up like their arm full capacity, getting like their swing at 100%, getting ready to go. So just kind of depends on sort of where you're at in your career and what you're competing for. Because, I like guys like me didn't have the luxury of like having 2 to 3 weeks to kind of get up to speed for live at bats. You had to be ready to go day one, and other guys can kind of take some time to get used to things.
Richie, that is not true at all. You were a first rounder. You were a superstar coming in. Maybe you should have just relaxed, bro, and just like said, "Hey, everybody, I'm going to hit when I'm going to hit. So take your time evaluating me."
Yeah, I mean, maybe I should have. That's probably what I needed to do. But I didn't do that, unfortunately. I was a nut job. I was all over the place. So, I was certainly someone who put, a lot of pressure on myself. And so I think there's like a whole mental game lens here for baseball that gets overlooked. And so that's a lot of stuff that I've been doing with players is trying to help them sort of really hone in on that mental game and really understand that that's kind of where your ceiling's at as a player. But yeah, I should have been more showy for sure. I was such a rule follower, man. I was like, oh, I don't want to be break any rules. I'm like, no, I should have been way showier than I was.
Wait, you're helping players out now, but you're not part of a team? Shouldn't be teams be like giving this evaluation, helping out? Like, people that don't know, you were you were playing on like Team USA at like 14 years old. You were a stud. You went to Clemson. You were a first rounder. Like, you were the guy that was untouchable. You couldn't be traded to move. But why are teams not helping enough with this kind of stuff? And why does somebody outside of the game like you need to be helping?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, it's a weird world when you get into it, especially like because you're right. For all intents and purposes, I was like a huge amateur prospect coming up. I had like hit all the check boxes, first round pick, all these things. And you get in there and then you realize quickly that there's a lot of people who sort of try to get they try to make their mark on you as a player in case you come up and you become a big star. Then they kind of say like, oh yeah, I helped develop him. And you get a lot of conflicting philosophies. And if there's not like a set organizational philosophy and like how we're going to develop players, it's kind of chaos. Like, I try to be super objective about my career, and there's a lot of things that I did wrong for sure. But there was a lot of things that happened in like the experimental days of the Tampa Bay Rays as they were coming up and figuring out how to compete on like no budget essentially. That there are a lot of guinea pig stuff happening, and I was like one of those guinea pigs for sure. And I just don't think the draft gets treated a lot like we're going to throw pickles at the wall and see what sticks, instead of like, hey, like let's really commit a lot of our money and our resources into creating the best development that we can possibly have. Because even if we get a guy in who's out of college who's 21 years old, there's just still a massive gap between like that guy and being like big league ready, right? There's a few guys who can, make the jump right away, but from a position player standpoint, it's very, very few. Like Langford is a guy who's like, he happens so quick. Like those dudes are that is so rare, even for the great college players that come out. Like high school players have a little bit more runtime, but like teams are just not spending enough time to like dedicate sophisticated resources to developing guys. They're just, hey, we're just going to throw anything at the wall, whatever sticks. You guys are in the big leagues. Congratulations.
Richie, it seems like there's more of an emphasis on speaking about the challenges of mental health in sports. And, it used to be a lot more taboo for people to speak about it publicly. Certainly, I would imagine for men to speak about it was a lot harder. How do you think it has changed over the course of your time doing this? I mean, obviously you played for the Rays in 15 and 16. Here we are, almost 10 years later. How has it changed, and what else still needs to be done to tap into the fact that so much of this game is mental, and mental health in this game? I mean, this game will kick you right in your teeth. So how much does it change, and what else needs to be done?
Yeah, I think there's like two conversations, right? There's like mental health and then what I like to call like mental strength or mental skills, right? You kind of have like two varying paths. Like baseball is inherently a failure-based game. If you're a hitter, you're going to get out the vast majority of the time. Human beings do not like to do tasks where you're going to fail the vast majority of the time. So we are not equipped organically to handle this game. Like we have to have systems in place in order to combat those. And a lot of times, like the failure that you're going to consistently have, the level of lack of control of your career, of your life, and the lifestyle that you live sort of in the minor leagues as you're trying to reach the pinnacle of the big leagues, all those things combined can lead to really, really bad mental health. But on the same token, like you need to have these mental skills and mental strength in order to maintain a good mental health. And so there's certainly a lack of openness to kind of have discussions like this, right? Like you were kind of expected to be able to just like handle this adversity and do these things on your own. There was zero like sophisticated resources or tools when I played in terms of like how to build a sustainable, resilient, mindset around this. And I think it's really opening up to where you can talk about these things in a way that's not going to attach some stigma to you. I know that a lot of these teams, they have, kind of mental skills coaches or mental health coaches or whatever. The one thing that I've always noticed was a big gap and why I've sort of done some of the work that I've done with a lot of players is sort of attaching this like generalized sports psychology and mental health to the actual function of being a baseball player and hitting. Because like there is this world where, because you get out so often, you can't rely on hits to build confidence, but you also need confidence to build hits. You live in this weird paradox of confidence where like you need one without the other, but that's traditionally how you've had to do it. But we can create systems in our brain in order to create like cycles of reframing negativity into positivity, and or like finding small wins that you can use to stack big wins on top of. There's just a number of things we can do that will keep our mental skills strong so that we don't impact our mental health, right? Like there's a direct line between the two. And I think it's an important distinction. So I think we're trending in the right direction. I've helped thousands of players at this point since my playing days have been done. And I've gotten so many, really, really good feedback from all the work that we've been able to do with players from the big leagues all the way down to the little leagues. And I think it's a trend that's going to grow. The hard part is it's just, you can't see it. It's so much easier to focus on our swing and just think, if I just fix my swing, I'm going to become a better hitter. It's like, well, at the end of the day, if you take a fastball right down the middle, there's no swing that can help that. Like you have to have the mental state in order to like make good swing decisions. But then at the end of the day, you go 0 for 4 on the day. How you bounce back the next day is really what separates great players from good players. And that is really how you connect like the mental skill side to ensure that like 0 for 4 doesn't turn into 0 for 50. And that's where your mental health starts really taking a hit.
What about, speak on some of the physical stuff? I know one of the comments you made on Twitter or Instagram, I'm not sure, you were like, how are you going to spend over $1 million on a draft pick and then feed them peanut butter and jelly out of the bulk government peanut butter and jelly?
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, this is the sort of the disconnect between the money you're going to spend on a player and then what you're going to do to attempt to like develop that player. I mean, yeah, like, hopefully I think it's improved at this point some. I mean, it's been 10 plus years since I was drafted. So I think we're getting closer to getting better about this. But yeah, you get drafted, you get sent to minor league spring training. And I literally everyone would get a tortilla with one slice of deli ham and a slice of American cheese rolled up. I'm like, here you go. It's 104 degrees in Port Charlotte, Florida. Good luck. Here's your nutrition for the day. And that'd be every day, it's like, or peanut butter and jelly and half the loaf is moldy. And you're like, I lost 22 pounds during my rookie ball season. You're just like, how is this? Like, you're going to spend $2 million on a player in the first round. And then this is the resources you're going to put at their disposal. Like those two things don't make sense. And I think that's where the disconnect comes in between like player development and just hoping that some pick pans out to become a big leaguer. And I think some of these small market teams who claim that they need the farm system in order to feed the big leagues, it's like, well, what you're doing in the farm system doesn't, like, your actions don't signal that's what your intention is, right? Like your actions signal that we are just here to run the most cost efficient operation in human history is essentially what your actions show.
All right. Well, this is trade / free agent / prospect season. I guess that's all the time. Do you believe, because you were one of them, that prospects are way too hyped? And if you have the ability to cash it in, and this is where AJ might chime in on the conversation, cash it in for a proven big leaguer, how many times out of 100 do you cash that prospect in?
Oh man. I mean, the prospect has to be like, in my opinion, it has to be a Paul Skeens, like no doubt, surefire. There is zero doubt that this person's going to pan out because I would even take, this is going to be maybe a bit controversial, but like I would take a well-established like AAA player who's been in the AAA system for 4 years and has just been stuck forever, I would take a player like that over some super hyped 19-year-old prospect for your big league roster. I think of someone like Christian Walker. I played against Christian for years, stuck in Norfolk in AAA, and they had Chris Davis at the time. He wasn't like Christian couldn't go anywhere. He was sitting there balling out in AAA every single day. He wasn't like some huge name prospect, but like now you look at him, he's this awesome big leaguer. But it was obvious at the time. Everyone could see it was obvious, except maybe Baltimore at the time couldn't see it was obvious. And so to me, like if I'm running an organization, I'm looking for guys like that where you look for guys who are consistently undervalued or have consistently performed at a big league level, but may not have the like hype and name attached to it, and then use your prospects, your big hyped names to cash in those pieces. I mean, I think that's absolutely the play, but the problem is like those players are just generally more expensive and they have less control. And that's really what teams only care about. It's like, how do we manage budget and how do we maintain control for players as long as humanly possible? It's like they'd rather have a kid come in at 20 years old and have 6-7 years of control over him, even if he's going to dramatically underperform, than someone who might be 29 and been in AAA for 4 years, or like a big league guy who's been fringe up and down on like the bus back and forth in 4A. So I mean that's the way I would look at it. I just I don't know, maybe AJ's got a different perspective on it.
No, listen, I'm all for trading away prospects for guys that are actually proven big leaguers. So no, I'm all for this because I mean, not every prospect works out. Look at the great trades over the years. Very few times do you trade away a great player and then you get the caliber in return. Because if they were that good, teams wouldn't trade him in the first place. So that's one of the things that I'm most. But I want to go back to something you said on the mental health side of this. And what do you say to people? Because listen, when I came up, I had the same thing, and I was way before. I was 30 years ahead of you in the minor leagues, or 20 years ahead of you in the minor leagues. And listen, it was one of the ways teams separated mental toughness from the guys that couldn't hack it, because they would say, if you can survive the bus rides and still get up and play, if you can figure out a way to keep yourself, and nutrition wasn't a big deal, weightlifting, all that wasn't as big of a deal. But what do you say to people like that are older school and say, this is just how you differentiate between guys that can do it and guys that can't, instead of just saying, oh, we're just going to give everybody everything and, the best player wins, but then they get to the big leagues and times get tough and they can't handle it because they've never been through a tough time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair, right? There's a level of like just innate mental toughness that has to exist with someone. Like someone has to be able to their core, be able to handle adversity, no doubt. I don't know. I just think like there's a difference between being able to tell some guy who's just like kind of soft and like the difference between that and someone who's like, we're just going to give you bad conditions to see if you can like stick it out. Like, I think those are two different things. Because I think you can tell, right? Like if a guy just has bad body language walking around all the time in the field, like I think it's kind of easy to see the dudes who kind of have a backbone, the guys who don't. And then the next piece of that is like, all right, like we can tell that this one particular guy, he's a tough guy. He just, mentally he spirals quickly and he game speeds up on him. He overthinks, yada, yada, but like he's tough as nails. We know he's tough. We just need to figure out how to like direct his brain in the right direction versus a guy who's like moping around and doesn't hustle things out. And, if he strikes out on defense, he's going to go make an error out in the field. Like those two things are distinctions. And I think you're right. If it's the latter, like that guy's never going to cut it. I don't care how talented he is. You can't have him as part of your organization. That I totally agree with. I just think there's a distinction between there's guys with crazy physical tools and their mental game is pointed in the wrong direction. They focus all their energy on the wrong things. And then we can provide tools to them to get this part out of the way so they can unleash their physical side. And that's really what I focus on is like, how do we help you get out of your own way, basically? Because if you're soft, you're soft. You're not going to make it. We're talking about 1% of 1% of people trying to make it to the show. Like you got to have some dog in you. Absolutely. I mean, there's no question about that. So, but
Richie, what do you think? And I'm not asking you to predict the future, just being a member of the Tampa Bay Rays what do you think the likelihood is that their future is there in Tampa, St. Pete? Do they move? What do you get the sense that they might be doing?
I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic they move into Tampa. I think the greater Tampa base is a fantastic sports base. I think the Lightning prove that, right? They've got like an incredible showing every single year. They're a good team, so people show up. Like I think the Rays have the base. They have fans. It's just an inconvenient place to get to. Like it's just hard to get there to the stadium currently. And so my hope is that I know there's talks about like Ybor City and some other places that they were potentially looking at. I'm still hopeful that they move into Tampa proper and give people better access to the stadium because like Rays fans were great. I loved Rays fans. They were fantastic. I like them because being in the AL East, there's a lot of like chip on their shoulder people. You get a lot of Yankees fans and Boston fans who like live down in then Florida and they want to show up to those home games. So the Rays fans got a lot of chip on their shoulder. Is like, hey man, like we're very competitive in the AL East, and you're not gonna just show up to our park and win. So I'm really hoping they get like a good real stadium to give actual Tampa fans the ability to show up because I think they will.
I'm not trying to blow up your spot, but you used to live in Charlotte. I'm not sure if you still do anymore, but Charlotte, is it a big league city? Should they have a big league team?
I hope so, and I think so. Like, I think Charlotte is growing more and more. I'm running into more people who are like from here now, like as adults. We were a very transient city for a long time. We're starting to get people who were born and raised here and like love it here. And I think we can absolutely handle it. Like Carolina Panthers, we were like competitive for the first time in like a decade. And the playoff game was insane. It was rowdy. People showed up. They love it. I think you don't have as much trouble with free agency, like in baseball as you do other cities that are just like more destination cities, right? Like you have other sports where they'd rather go play in Miami or LA or whatever, just because of like the city itself. I don't think baseball has as much challenge that people will just go whoever's willing to pay them the most, which is how it should be. I think Charlotte can handle it. I think we have a good spot for it there. And so I'm hoping in the next like expansion conversations, like Charlotte is in that conversation. Whether or not like the city agrees with me, I don't know. We'll see. But if it's not Charlotte, my hunch is like Nashville gets it, to be honest.
All right. Last one. It's more of a comment on the way out. 2017, Richie and I played together. Richie was MVP of the Columbus Clippers. He had 30 dingers, 89 steaks. Well, 2017 was also the year that Aaron Judge won Rookie of the Year, had like 52 homers, something like that. My sons, Richie's locker was right near mine in the Columbus locker room. My sons would come to the clubhouse almost every single day that they were good kids. So they were there, and Richie was like, he was like a kid to them. So like they played Clash of Clans. They just did everything in the clubhouse. I get traded to the Yankees. My locker is the same distance away from Aaron Judge's locker. They thought Richie Shaffer was Aaron Judge. They were just like, Richie Shaffer hit all these home runs. Aaron Judge hit all these home runs. They're the same. They're both really nice to us. They both like playing games on their phone, and they're both like nice guys that hit dingers. So Richie Shaffer and Aaron Judge, same.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I don't see anything different between me and Judge. It's nothing. I don't see a single difference. So, yep, spot on.
In their mind.
In their mind. Perfect. Yep, 100%. I love it.
It's a great story. Maybe the bank account's a little bit different. Maybe the height. I don't know. I don't know how tall you are, Richie, but you are.
I'm 6'4", but he does make me feel very small. Yes.
Okay. Well, 6'4", that's nothing to be ashamed of. I tell you what, you're both good guys. That I can attest to. Thank you so much for coming on. I loved hearing the insight that you had. Best of luck going forward. We appreciate it, and I'm sure that certainly EK will talk to you soon, if not the rest of us. Thanks, Richie.
Absolutely. Thank you all very much. Take care.
You guys, check him out at Richie Shaffer on Instagram. Coming up with Money Moves.
Show me the money.
Show me the money! Show me the money!
By the way, Richie Shaffer kind enough to come on the show. Aaron Judge, where are you? We have a spot for you. Come on the show anytime. Aaron Judge,
Soon.
9-9. All right, let's talk about some money moves, guys. Luis Arraez to the Giants. They reached an agreement with the 28-year-old contact hitting savant. Of course, he has won the batting title 3 different times. It's a 1-year, $12 million contract. He led the National League last year with 181 hits last season. AJ, you like this for the Giants? You like this for Arraez?
No, I like it for Arraez. The Giants needed a second baseman. Arraez has given his opinion that he wants to play second base. It's a good fit. He can get on base for, like Jim Bowden said, for Adames and for Ralphie Devers to drive him in. I like this move. I think it's a good move. It's a good 1-year move. It's a prove-it year. And if Adames goes out, and I know it doesn't mean anything, but if Arraez goes out and doesn't mean anything, but he goes out and wins another batting title in San Francisco, he should be in line to get a nice contract. Because I just love how I'm gonna say this, and Arraez is a former Minnesota Twin. Batting titles meant so much for Joe Mauer, and they meant a lot for Buster Posey, right? But Luis Arraez wins one, and nobody cares. So it's just because they were catchers, or is it because the thought on batting titles has changed so much? I'm just asking.
It always seems like this year is a prove-it year for Luis Arraez. Erik, I mean, the guy does have 3 batting titles. I understand that he's not a power hitter. Of course, he doesn't hit home runs. He's not the best defensively, but I would think that being able to make contact and not striking out would be of value. Apparently, though, not in today's game, correct?
Man, I just don't. It's not like we're talking about like. I don't know. Like I never came up with an example, but it's not like we're talking about a dude who's like, he's just so he did it. He won 1 batting title. He's won 3. He led the league last year in hits. I get it. It's batting average and no on base percentage. That's fine. He struck out. He had the lowest strikeout percentage last year since Tony Gwynn, I think in 1995. That was Sarah Lang's tweet. It was something that was like, that's crazy. In the era where we're in, where guys, whether they're better pitchers or not, I'm not going to discuss that. Guys are 100% going for the strikeout. That is it. They're only going for the strikeout. Is Luis Arraez as valuable as a Eugenio Suarez? To a certain extent. There's a value there. And to win a batting title is so ridiculously hard, and he's done it 3 times. And like AJ said, like it feels like we're like picking certain situations that it was cool to win a batting title. But like Luis Arraez is going to 100% raise his value because of the fact that he plays second, if he can play second base the entire year. As a first baseman, you can never sit there and go, well, is he just the best defensive first baseman in the game? No. And then who else are you finding? I mean, there's dudes in AAA who they probably would say, we'd rather give his 25, 30 home runs in AAA a shot in the big leagues before they would Luis Arraez, which is a travesty to how tough it is to win a batting title, let alone lead the National League in hits.
He turned down other multi-year offers to play second base for the Giants, a position that he wanted to return to, guys, after playing first base for the Padres. So the Giants now, AJ, have an infield of Chapman, Adames, Arraez, and Devers. It's pretty damn good.
Yeah. I mean, who's going to pitch is the question. Who's going to pitch behind Logan Webb? But
We'll
see. I guess Robbie Ray's still there, but still, it's like this is a nice, not a terrible lineup. I mean, I think Patrick Bailey's due for a nice bounce back this year. Bryce Eldridge, if he can hit. I mean, the top of the order is as good as it gets. So we'll see. Let's not forget, Helios Ramos a couple years ago was projected to be like, they were talking about him being like a star. So Bader can play nice center field. Patrick Bailey's going to bounce back. I don't hate this lineup. I hate the fact that it took Luis Arraez. We're talking about this for Luis Arraez because he smiles all the time. He puts the ball in play. There's value in that nobody wants to talk about.
No, he's just, I don't know. Is it because he's just not driving guys in? But I mean, at least he gets on base to be driven in.
But here's the thing about you're saying he doesn't drive guys in, but what's the thing they always say? RBIs don't matter because it's a matter of where you are in the lineup, right? So it's like they come up with excuses on why certain things matter depending on who you are and how they like you and what you're thinking about. Oh, RBIs matter except for when they don't. Batting average matters except for with this guy, right? And home runs matter, strikeouts matter except for with this guy. It's like the whole thing to me just doesn't make sense sometimes. But that's why I don't own a team. That's why I don't run a team, because I feel like I don't know.
Well, I
So
mean,
that-
that's just it. You can make the numbers, you can manipulate the numbers to solve anything you want them to say.
Same. And analytics feels like they're adverse. They're completely they're subjective. I'm not using that word right. Objective and subjective. And that's the whole reason for analytics was, we don't have our feelings in this at all. No, you 100% have your feelings in it. We don't want the league doesn't want Eugenio Suarez. Why? Because he strikes out too much. He was 5th in baseball in homers. Hit 49 home runs. Most years that leads the league. Okay? But, he strikes out too much. His defense isn't good enough. Well, brings the money down. How about we talk about how good a player is and what if he just hits 1 home run this year? What if Luis Arraez gets 1 RBI this year and that RBI pushes the Giants to the playoffs? Then all 12 million, 15 million, 2 years, 24 million, it all matters. Exactly what AJ said needs to be clipped. It's all manipulated to make somebody look bad, to make somebody look worse than what they really are. And ultimately, the name of the game is winning as many baseball games as possible. And Luis Arraez on most teams playing second base is an upgrade.
181 hits last year, 8 home runs. 2024, he had 200 hits. And of course, as we've mentioned, 22, 23, 24 batting title for that year. Pretty interesting to be able to do that. Pretty impressive to be able to do that 3 years in a row. All right, let's get to some more moves that were made this weekend in Hot Corner. All right, can't wait to get the take on this one from AJ. The Chicago White Sox have acquired right-handed pitcher Jordan Hicks and David Sandlin, cash considerations, and 2 players to be named later from the Boston Red Sox in exchange for right-hander Gage Zeal and a player to be named later. Jordan Hicks, not the best numbers last year with the Red Sox, but I think the bigger piece of this puzzle, AJ, is David Sandlin going to the Sox, your Sox. What say you?
Cool. What am I supposed to say? I mean, we just had this conversation about, we want to trade prospects, and listen, Sandlin, he throws hard, but if you dig into his numbers, man, people are going to say, I don't like the White Sox, but I just look at numbers, man. Numbers, look at his walks, man. His walks are just not good. 76 walks. He has a lot of walks. Yes, he strikes out a ton of guys, but he's got a lot of walks. He's got a high ERA. I mean, he's got almost a 4 ERA in the minor leagues. Yeah, like they got Jordan Hicks, he's going to pitch out of the bullpen according to Chris Getz. That helps him in the bullpen because I think we figured out since he's gone to San Francisco, he's definitely not a starter, right? He'll help in the bullpen wherever he can come in and give you multiple innings as a bullpen guy. So I like that. But they're still getting they have to pay 20 million of this, 16 million, I think they have left on the hook for Jordan Hicks.
8 million of Hicks's 24.
Okay, so it's a move that if Zeal's not going to deal's not going to help you, deal not going to help you, then fine. But I don't know. I mean, this is just a move. It's like, we're making moves now just to make moves, right? Like, look, we can make a move, and people say we can tell people how great this guy's going to be. But again, Jordan Hicks, okay. But you're getting a lot. For a team money challenge right now. Cool. Like, yes, go White Sox. Good job, Chris Getz.
AJ, don't appeal to the masses. Does this make the team better for the year that they're going to win? They're going to make the playoffs. I'm not saying it's this year. Whatever year you set in your mind that the White Sox should be in the playoffs, does this make their team better for that year?
I have no idea because I just gave you his numbers. How do I know? How do I know what this guy's going to be? Apparently, Boston didn't think. Boston was like, we can get rid of Hicks. Oh, and we have to
nobody
give up
knows. Nobody knows what the hell Boston's doing. Boston is a mess.
But what I'm saying is to answer Kratz's question, though, when are Sandlin going to help him this year, and then maybe 3 years from now, he figures out how not to have a 4.4 ERA in the minor league? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if this helps him, but I know that it's a move to make a move, and I like that. At least they're trying to make some sort of moves.
Okay, so maybe a little bit above average. But the Red Sox, we have a resident Red Sox fan. You live right next to Fenway Park, so you're snowed in. What are the Red Sox doing?
I don't know.
They now have clear, and I joked about it on Twitter when you had mentioned, when you put on there like still waiting. Like they got rid of Rafael Devers' contract. That's massive. They got rid of now Jordan Hicks' contract. That was a massive amount of money. I guess, they didn't get rid of all of it because the White Sox aren't paying all of it, but they're paying a lot. And I said, Liverpool, they're raising trophies. They're raising trophies over there.
The Red Sox don't have a money problem. They have a decision-making problem, and they have a let's wait around because we think people want to play for the Red Sox. Alex Bregman is now in Chicago because the Red Sox left it on their laurels that, he's going to want to come back. We're guaranteeing that he's going to want to come back. So we're not going to make a move and do anything else. Yes, they signed Ranger Suarez, and I guess that, that's okay. That's fine. But the thing is with the Red Sox, it's like you let Rafael Devers go after the second year or within his second year of a 10-year deal. So that just goes to show you if you're Bregman, because the Red Sox don't give no trade clauses. That's just going to show you that, I still might be moved. And they saved $200 and something million on Devers' contract and didn't put the money anywhere. Jordan Hicks doesn't make enough money to make a difference in their payroll. What are the Red Sox doing?
You tell me.
I don't know.
You're experiencing the same snow as Fenway Park is.
Oh, God. By the way, the White Sox are also in agreement with free agent outfielder Austin Hayes. Sources telling ESPN Hayes, he's 30, hit 15 home runs in 103 games for Cincinnati last year. The Sox were looking for a veteran outfielder, and Hayes fits the bill, guys. So here is the lineup, the projected lineup anyway, with Austin Hayes. So, AJ, you like this move at least in terms of proven talent in Austin Hayes?
Yes, I can get on board with this move. This is the move that we've been saying the White Sox should have made for years. Bring in a veteran guy that can help some of the young guys, right? And if he has a great first half and you're not in contention, even though the White Sox are like, we're going to win the division this year, you trade him and you get some players back. This is the move that you make. This is a smart move. The Murakami move. It's only a 2-year deal. That's a good move. Brooks Baldwin, Edwin Quiro. Look at this team. Vargas, Montgomery, Teal, Mydra. They need a veteran guy in there. And listen, no offense to Andrew Benintendi, but he doesn't really is not very outgoing. He's a good guy, really good guy. But you need somebody that can be a little outgoing and lead these guys. And Benintendi's been there for a while now. So these two guys, maybe Hayes and Benintendi together, can talk to Brooks Baldwin, Quiro, Teal, Mydra, Montgomery, teach them how to be big leaguers. I love this move. This is the move the White Sox should be made because it's only a 1-year deal. And if he's great, you got something. And if he's not great, or if he's great, you trade him and you get something back in return. Maybe an organization's 10th best prospect like they just did. And if not, he teaches the young guys what to do. But I would bet on Austin Hayes having a good year and coming out and helping the White Sox be better.
Okay.
Yeah, it's value. There is not physical value there. Jordan Hicks might save 20 games. Sir Anthony might save the other 20 games for the White Sox. So I guess from a front office standpoint, there's value there. But the value in Austin Hayes is what he brings to exactly what AJ said. So it's two completely different moves, two guys that have been in the league. And most people would say Jordan Hicks, for his career, has had a better career than Austin Hayes. If Austin Hayes can make an impact on one or two of those prospects, those guys that are now solidifying themselves in the big leagues, knowing what it takes to be a big leaguer, knowing what it takes to win in the big leagues, which is the next step, not just hitting 30 home runs, it's winning in the big leagues, then that contract will pay for itself 50 times over. That's where Bregman's value to the Red Sox was last year. That's where Kyle Schwarber's value to the Phillies is. And the White Sox, if they have a chance to add another piece like this, we talked about Zach Gallen before. If some of these pitchers in the White Sox starting rotation, young pitchers, are going to be guys that you're going to have up there for a decent amount of time, having a guy like Zach Gallen around, he may cost you $22.3 million, whatever the qualifying offer is. It's probably about what he'll get but what he will pay back dividends for the future. That's why I posed the question that I did to AJ, because those type of things are relationship and career building moments when you bring guys like that in, if they're the right fit for your young kids.
Would the White Sox make sense? Or let me rephrase this. Would
No.
Zach Gallen make
No.
sense? White Sox.
I mean,
Why?
he would make sense, but he ain't going to go there
But they won't
because
do
he
it.
wants to
He
go
won't.
somewhere he has a chance to win.
Chance to
He's
win,
not going to
yeah.
go there. And it goes right back to the thing we talked about with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Do you guys remember all the polls that have come out recently? Worst franchise to play for, teams we don't want to go to. We
White
don't want to
Sox.
do this. It's been the White Sox, been the White Sox, been the White Sox, right? So you think Zach Gallen's going to look at that and Zach Gallen's going to call someone like Lance Lynn, who played for the White Sox, right? Or he's going to call someone, Todd Frazier, or someone that's been there recently and say, hey, what'd you guys think of this? And he's going to say, well, blah, 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 blah. But guess what? The White Sox are going to have to grossly overpay to get someone like Zach Gallen, even if it's just for 1 year. Because most guys, when they go on one-year deals, when they go to prove it, they want to go to a winner because you always look good on a winning team, right? So they'd have to massively overpay. And one thing we've learned about the White Sox recently, they're not going to massively
They're not
overpay for
gonna do it.
anything.
And just like the Pirates, like you said, they're not going to massively overpay either. I mean, they could have had Suarez. They would have just upped the ante at a couple of million a year.
Yeah,
Instead,
listen, I can't argue with that. If deep down in your heart of hearts you don't think that you can compete, then you don't overpay. Unless you're the Nationals and you have Jason Worth sitting there and you think eventually he's going to lead to a World Series title and you don't think Zach Gallen's going to be there, then you don't do it, right? But the Nationals got what they wanted. They won the World Series with Jason Worth, and because then they Strasburg, Scherzer, all these guys showed up. The Tigers, Pudge Rodriguez, Magglio Ordonez, they were the first ones. Now, unfortunately, the Tigers never won a World Series, but they got there and they competed for a long time, and that was kind of the start of it. So when you think you're in that window, you go for it. The Cubs did it with John Lester, John Lackey, Jason Hayward, right? They're like, this is our chance. Dexter Fowler, we're going for it. They brought in these veterans with Schwarber, Bryant, Rizzo, these younger guys, Contreras, and it worked out. It doesn't always work out, but you got to pick your time, and when you pick that time, you got to go.
Yep, and Grandpa Rossi, don't forget that for those Cubs. Well, that's okay. The White Sox have the Pope, so they're going to be just fine. All right, let's take a moment and dive into the Giants' regular season win total from BetMGM. All right, we're talking a lot about the San Francisco Giants, obviously, with the Luis Arraez conversation. So the question that I ask you guys, BetMGM futures, the regular season wins for San Francisco, over or under on a line of 81.5. AJ, we'll start with you. What are you taking? Why is this funny? I don't know betting. Why is this funny?
Because this number's tough. You know what? I'm going under. I'm going to say 81. Just because I don't know, Alanna. They're so good at these numbers. Are so hard. It's
That's
not
why
what I
they
would
build those huge casinos. Because
I know. That's why I'm taking the under, because with the Dodgers, I think the Diamondbacks will be improved. I think the Padres are better than the Giants right now. The Rockies are the Rockies, so they're kind of irrelevant. But I just think that they're the fourth best team maybe in this division. And to see them get over 81 wins in a really tough division just doesn't seem like the way. Now, they could prove me wrong. Giants fans already hate me, so what's a little bit more?
All right. Sarah Harmon, 1974, says take the over. They're going to be stronger. I Need Money says take the under. Owl of Minerva says LOL. Damn. Not sure what she's referring to, but fourth place, I Need Money. All right. EK, what do you say? Over or under on the San Francisco Giants regular season total at 81.5? That's your line.
Under. I think they're a 500 team.
Okay.
I think they're a 500 team. I'm not saying they're going to be like 78 wins. I would that'd be a massive under for me, but I think they're a 500 team unless they make a move that moves the needle for me, because now, is Willie Adames' defense going to be there all year? Rafi Devers is going to hit his 30 homers, but is the right side of their infield not good enough? Is the outfield defense legit? Do they stay healthy? Do they have enough depth for that? I just feel like they're a 500 team. I feel like this number is 81. If there's very few when it's like, when I'm right on this number, that I'd be like, okay, either one, I'm like not going to take it. If you said, here's what the price is, here's the number I'm giving you, if you take 81 wins, I will take 81. I think they are a 500 team, and I don't think they've done enough to make them not a 500 team this offseason.
AJ's not a huge fan of bets in the 80s, apparently, this
Well, no,
week.
they've just been really good lately. That these gamblers, it's like they know what they're doing.
I think they do.
The
I think
odds
they
makers,
do.
I should say. It's listen, I agree with everything Kratz just said, man. We agree on this one. Like they're a 500-ish team. Everything could break right and they could be better. Everything could break wrong and they could be worse. So it's just we'll see.
You can't end the season last year where they ended it with a Cy Young candidate Logan Webb and say, oh, what if Logan Webb has an unbelievable year? Like Logan Webb is not what you're talking about. Rafi Devers is not what you're talking about. He's going to hit his dingers. Willie Adames showed up. To hit 30 homers again is going to be tough. Matt Chapman's going to play ridiculous defense. It's just, did you add anything to the already pieces that you have? And I don't think so. And I think right now they're 500.
Yeah. AJ doesn't either.
Don't forget Verlander had an unbelievable second half last year, and they still finished where they finished. So, I mean, Robbie Ray was pretty good. I mean, Logan Webb was really good all year. Adames hit his 30. Yeah, I just don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
They don't
those
have
are
enough.
chalk.
They don't have enough pitching. The biggest game of the year calls for a boost pack that's just as big. BetMGM is rolling out the big game boost pack, and it gives you 3 different ways to boost the odds on your next big game bet. Here's how it works. First, log in, and your big game boost pack will be waiting for you. Next, add any big game bet to your bet slip and activate the boost token you want to use. And finally, if that bet hits with a token activated, you're getting extra winnings on top of your payout. If you want to add a little more excitement to your big game action, make sure you grab the big game boost pack. 100 Gambler. Let's slap hands. All right, guys, don't forget to subscribe to Dodgers Territory. It is coming up next. We just hit 15,000 subs. We appreciate you very much. Our next goal, of course, is to get us to 20,000 subs. We appreciate it very much. It's easy. Like, subscribe. We are part of the Foul Territory Network. Myself, Clint Pasillas, Katie Wu. She does a great job on The Athletic. Of course, Clint, big time Dodgers fan, been doing this a long time, too. All right, time now. Don't forget about Hot Sheet. We appreciate you guys listening to that. You can tune into them at 3:30 Eastern today. Baseball America's Hot Sheet right after Dodgers Territory, 3 p.m. Eastern on Baseball America on the YouTube channel. Okay, time now to slap hands, gentlemen. We appreciate you guys letting me be here today. David Robertson retiring. Good for him. He had a great career. AJ?
Cutters and curveballs.
I think he was the last one on that 2009 Yankees team, right? That won World Series with the Yanks. It was the last one that was still active, correct?
Yeah. What a career. Great career for a guy. Wasn't he a gymnast coming out of Alabama? Wasn't he like a gymnast growing up? And great calves. Great calves.
Great calves. Great calves. Admirable calves. And it's really just his fastball. It wasn't even a cutter. His fastball would just cut. And he tried to throw a sinker, and it was a four-seamer. Great teammate, like always smiled. Very, very big into facial expressions when he pitched. Go back and look at the one curveball that he hit Gary Sanchez with. So his reaction is pretty much the same as everybody's reaction. But good for you, D-Rob. What a guy.
Yeah. Congratulations on a heck of a career. A pleasure to watch him pitch for all those years. All right. Tomorrow, Scott Braun is back. It's exciting. Harrison Bader is going to be on the show. Yeah, Harrison Bader is going to be on.
I should have wore this sweatshirt tomorrow.
New York Yankees pitcher Ryan Weathers. But that's right, because didn't Bader go to Florida? He's a UF guy.
He did, yes. Yeah. You know, I had to wear this sweatshirt today after Florida whooped Alabama in basketball, and the coach guaranteed they would whoop their ass, and they whooped that ass.
Okay.
Even
Go
with
Gator.
an NBA player. Even with an NBA player on the roster.
All I care about is I will be in Gainesville in May for Morgan Wallen. All right, you guys. See you later. Kratz, what's your hat?
Columbus Clippers. I mean, me and Richie played there. I watched Richie hit tons of dingers in the bushes.
Thanks for coming on the show, Richie. Thanks to John coming on and Jim as well. All territory. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.